It all began in high school. I had originally thought that I wanted to be a veterinarian. One of my biggest weaknesses throughout high school was chemistry. So when I started to look at all of the curriculum for college, and it was chemistry all across the board, it was just a sign to me to say, yeah, maybe we need to think about this a little bit more. But one of the strongest influences in my life is when my family immigrated here from the Philippines, and I was 9 years old. And my parents kind of did a role reversal in the Philippines. My dad was the one with a career. He was a ship captain in the Merchant Marines. My mom was a physical therapist, and she taught physical therapy at the university, but for the most part, kind of her role was taking care of the kids, being at home. And so my mom's career is the one that allowed us to immigrate to this country. And in doing so, my dad retired from his job and became Mr. Mom at home while Mom was the one working. And to see my dad, never seen him cook a meal before, and in the beginning he was following the cookbooks to a T, and then eventually you didn't see the cookbooks anymore. And I could tell he was having a lot of fun with it. So just seeing that transformation just kind of opened my eyes and said, someone really enjoying cooking and providing food for the family. And he was always asking for feedback, what we thought of his food, and eventually it got to the point where we didn't eat my mom's cooking anymore. It was all dad. So at that point, I just kind of, that interest in cooking really was ingrained. And then in high school, right around the time that I was starting to have to figure things out, the Food Network debuted on TV. And then it was no longer MTV every day, it was Food Network, and just watching the chefs falling in love with what they were doing. That just kind of paved the way for me to go to culinary school. My foundation is French cuisine. My very first position in the industry was working for a French hotel, which was the Sofitel in Chicago. And that was like I would say, as a foundation, not just in cuisine, but for my career, because working in the hotel with kind of that corporate setting where a lot of the advancement entailed a lot of self-development, taking more classes, more on the business end of things. So that allowed me to kind of climb the ladder. And for my first 5 years, it was pretty intense because the focus was always on development. Every time you had a review, it was like, okay, 1 year from now, where are you going to be? What position are you going to be? And working with my mentor, my first culinary mentor, it was just a fast-paced level of coaching and development. So within 2 years, I became the junior sous chef. Another year after that, I became executive sous. And at the 5-year mark, my executive chef said, we need to find you another job because you're not taking my position. But he helped me out so that from then on, it was always a focus of, really looking at how much you're learning at one place. And once you've become kind of stagnant with that, it was time to look for the next step. When you compare different individuals and kind of how their reach that they had within their career, someone could be pretty successful without following any mentors in this industry. It's an industry that you can just literally put your head down and work and just keep working, and it'll still take you places. But without that, somebody kind of pushing you in the back or being able to light that fire when you need it, I don't think I would be in the positions that I've had, or even now, if I didn't have that person behind me that kind of understood what my potential was, what my capabilities could be, and really held me up to a standard and said, you're not doing enough. You need to do more. You can't stop at this level. You need to you need to shoot higher. That might be too intense with students at this level, but I think that's a good message to have in their minds and say, you know, we show and tell students all the different positions in the industry. A lot of them say, well, I want to be chef. It's like, okay, chef at a casino, chef on a cruise ship, chef at a fine dining restaurant, chef of a food truck. There's so many possibilities, but really, for me, you know, I started in hotels, and I could have easily, just like many people, stayed in hotels. But that mentorship said, no, you need to go experience resorts and, you know, high volume catering and corporate dining. So just to see all of the facets and be able to say, like, okay, now that I've seen multiple ones, here's what I want to do or end my career in. So I'm a chef instructor, but I also have a secondary role as the culinary operations manager. So I oversee the kitchen manager. Easiest way I explain it to students is I handle their investment in this school in regards to the tuition that they're paying, or making sure that all of the ingredients for their classes are all here, all of the equipment are in working order. We have enough supplies for everyone. The biggest selling point here is when you compare this school to a lot of the others, not so much on paper with credits and the types of classes, but if you actually come to this school and even watch an hour's worth of class, you develop this understanding of how much our students actually see and work with hands-on. I've never seen a curriculum, I've been teaching for over 16 years now, and I've never seen a curriculum that had this much product available to the students. I'll give you an example when we talk about chicken fabrication. Going back to when I was a student, I barely touched any chickens. It was you watch the instructor demonstrate it, and then maybe you had an opportunity to do it one other time. Here, by the time our students graduate, they've fabricated over 12 whole chicken. So there's not that many programs that can say they're that intense with the hands-on portion. So that's definitely a plus, because what that translates to is it's almost seamless when you go into the industry. And a lot of these chefs' expectations are more on the hands-on aspect. They're not hiring a cook to run their kitchen for them or to balance their books for them. They want someone who has the skill and the know-how. And so when we talk about those basics and the foundations, I think that's what the industry needs.